Hi, we are back with a new, memorable and exciting video that most gamers are familiar with. If you haven't subscribed to the Star Game Plus channel, be sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Number 1. God of War Ragnarok. The story of the game. Kratos and Atreus went hunting, and on the way back, Freya attacks them. A person who only thinks about revenge after Baldur was killed by Kratos. However, a bigger threat called Ragnarok is coming, and Atreus plans to stop it by finding Tyr, the Norse god of war, when things don't go his way. The introduction of God of War Ragnarok is exciting and promising to see a perfect product in terms of storytelling and characterization. However, after passing through the first third of the game, the story and its narration are on a gentle and even path. God of War Ragnarok is a work that will constantly play with your emotions, and at the end, you will spend hours thinking about how it will end. Of course, this monotony is not a bad thing. And with a proper and accurate narration, we witness the setting of the background for the events that occur in the last third of the story. Also, the ending of the game can be the crowning glory of the story Ragnarok, and after watching it, you will spend hours thinking to yourself and imagining different theories. But, in the end, you come to the conclusion that Sony Santa Monica Studio has taken the best path with this summary. Characterization is another thing that makes the story of God of War Ragnarok attractive. Kratos, Atreus, and Freya are each personified in the best possible way. Number 2. God of War 2018. The story begins where Kratos is cutting down a tree and there is a handprint on that tree. We later learn that this hand sign is for Atreus' mother and Kratos' wife, known in the game as Faye. They then take the boat home, where we see Faye's shrouded corpse as Atreus and Kratos say their last words before cremating her. Apparently, his last wish before dying was for Kratos and Atreus to go on an adventure and leave his ashes on the highest mountain peak in the realm, and the purpose of this request will be revealed later. Kratos and Atreus go on a short tour to get Atreus trained and ready for the trip. However, even after killing a troll with Atreus, Kratos tells him that he's not ready because Atreus can't control himself when he's angry either. They return home, but suddenly a stranger knocks on the door and tells Kratos. He says that he knows who he is, and most importantly, he knows the nature of Kratos. While fighting this person, we find out that he can't feel anything, so he's immortal. After defeating this person, Kratos realizes that it is not safe to stay at home, and despite the fact that Atreus is not ready, they go on the trip that his mother requested. Number 3. God of War Ascension. Before the Greek gods, before the Titans primordials, they were the first to live in this world. As a result of the war that took place between these two different groups of beings, the different planets and globes in the universe were created. According to this, it can be understood that this creature was much, much bigger than the Greek gods or even the Titans. But maybe the planets were not the only things that arose from the struggles and wars of the primordials. Furies also came from the destruction of these primordials. There were 3 sisters who punish criminals. But the biggest sin in their eyes is breaking the pact with the gods of Olympus. The first pact breaker in the world of God of War was Aegean. The Hecatonches, which Megara, Alecto and Tisiphone are 3 goddesses. The Punisher tortured him in the worst possible way, and in order to make him a lesson for others, they turned him into a prison for all criminals. This part is an introduction that is really constructive. At the very beginning, the game is shown through a trailer to make the player realize that, contrary to what many believed, the story of the game is good. Roy finds out in the game that this is not true at all. Number 4. God of War 3. The story of God of War 3 starts exactly from the point where the events of the second version of the game ended. In the opening scene, we see a narration from Zeus talking about the defiance of Kratos, who now commands a small army of Titans who have survived the Great War using the power of the Sisters of Destiny. The inhabitants of Mount Olympus quickly go to battle. Helios drives the chariot of Olympus, while Zeus watches. Hermes rushes to the summits of Olympus. Hercules is ordered to march with his forces. Hades rises, and in his demon-like awe with many titans Glavis turns, and Poseidon jumps down from the height of Olympus using the power of the waters under his command and inflicts a fatal blow on the titan's Epimetheus' chest. He then transforms himself into a gigantic water creature and creates water horses to aid the gods in battle. Presences the most important threat in the battle, Poseidon, who has already defeated many titans and will soon go after Gaia, prompts Kratos to engage the sea god. Kratos catches Poseidon in Gaia's clutches and manages to deal a fatal blow to the sea god, throwing him to another location. Poseidon is now out of his godly awe. After a brief fight between the two, Kratos finally brings the sea god's brutality to his knees, gouging his eyes out of their sockets and snapping his neck. Number 5. God of War 2. The story of God of War 2 takes place shortly after the events of the previous version. When Kratos is replaced by Ares as the God of War, he is not acceptable in front of other gods because of his violence and hostile behavior towards Greek townspeople. Kratos is still haunted by memories of his past, when he had committed unforgivable acts under the command of Ares. So, to get rid of this nightmare, he decided to conquer all of Greece. In the meantime, Athena, goddess of wisdom and courage, asked Kratos to give up his bloody decision before he provoked the anger of the gods more than before, because he can't help Kratos to begin with. But the God of War, more determined than ever, tells Athena that he has no covenant with her and ignores the words of the God of Wisdom and joins his Spartan army, who are on their way to war in the great coastal city of Rhodes. Kratos enters the battle scene with the power of a god. He puts it and realizes it after a wily eagle appears in the sky. At first, he thought that Athena was flying in the sky in the form of an eagle and was watching him, while the story is something else. Number 6. God of War 1. Kratos and his brother were born in one of the small villages of ancient Greece called Sparta. Due to the anonymity of Kratos' father, his small family was always insulted and harassed by other people. When the two brothers were a little older, Kratos joined the Spartan army because of his fighting skills. But on the contrary, his brother was sent to the mountains of Sparta to spend the rest of his life due to illness and disability. Kratos' brother died there and went to the underworld. After a short time, Kratos took command of a 50-strong army, which later grew to several thousand, all fighting for Spartan honor. Until the day of war with the huge barbarian army came. This war was the beginning of the tumultuous adventures of Kratos and Spartan, the war that changed the fate of the Spartans and Kratos. On the battlefield, Kratos found that the barbarian army was many times larger than the Spartans, but there was no way back. Kratos went to war, but very soon all the Spartans were defeated by the army of Mogars.